box when you need it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our last norming session of the semester. I'm so glad that you guys were able to make it. My name is Xochitl Tirado, and I am with CVC. I am a faculty liaison or mentor. I don't remember what our title is, but I'm here to help you all with poker. I am also a distance education coordinator at Imperial Valley College. Welcome, and I'm going to go ahead and let Maria Elena introduce herself.
Hello, I'm so glad to see everybody here. I'm Maria Elena Fernandez, and I'm the Distance Education and Instructional Design Coordinator at College of the Siskiyous in Weed, California. And I am also a faculty mentor, and I assist Sochi and the team here.
And Garrick, do you mind a quick introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. So nice to see so many familiar faces on the call today. Garrick Race, Director of Professional Development for CVC at One, and I started in November and have been part of our system for more years than that, but really excited to be here today. We have some fantastic updates and a fantastic agenda that Sochi and Maria Elena will lead us through. So thank you all for being here.
All right. So, our agenda today, just welcoming everybody. Maria Elena has dropped the link to the attendance sheet. So just go ahead and put your name next to your college so we can keep track of that. Today we're going to be talking about accessibility, and we have somebody to present for us. So I'm really excited to introduce her. To you guys in just a bit. Then we're going to have the last 30 minutes. Our accessibility topic is going to be from now till about 11:30. And the last 30 minutes, we're going to give you guys a big update on our rubric revision work that we're doing. So those last 30 minutes, everyone is welcome to stay. But if you're a poker lead, we really do want you to stay because those updates are going to be super important for you. And then I'll wrap up with some reminders for poker leads, and we'll be done at noon. Our next session is in fall 2025. I don't have the date yet, but you will receive an email, and I will update our website with that information. All right, so well, hold on, not yet. The session is being recorded, and if you need to watch the session again because it's so good, it will be on our website, or you can also send it to the rest of your poker team if they weren't able to make it. So every session is recorded and it is on our website. Without further ado, I want to introduce Ellie Constantine from Cypress Community College, and I'm going to let Ellie go ahead and introduce herself. And Ellie, I hope you are from Cypress Community College, and I did
I
it.
am.
Oh,
I
thank
am.
goodness.
Yes,
All
you
right.
got it. You got it. No E at the end though, but that's okay. Everybody makes that mistake because, long story about immigrant parents, but
Sorry about
misspelled
that.
it on their way here. But yes, thank you. Thank you, Sochi. Thank you for having me, CVC. Always a pleasure to be here. My name is Ellie Constantine. I am a distance ed director at Cypress College, former faculty at Mission College, and then I also do work for the CVC at One. So I teach the accessibility course and recently revised the accessibility course. So that should be coming down your way in fall, I believe. So that should be really, really interesting. Just a little bit about my background. I taught for 13 years at Mission College in the DSPS department, full-time instructional. And before that, I was K through 12, teaching students with disabilities. So I've always been in the kind of DSPS, students with disabilities realm. And then while I was at Mission College, I had the opportunity to get involved with poker and really just dive into accessibility. And then it just kept going and going and going till my world is accessibility. And even at Cypress College, my world is still accessibility. I've really just dive, really, it's very important work to me. It's my life passion. I have a child with disabilities, so this is something that's very important to me. So I want to thank you all for being here and taking the time to out of your day to learn more about this, to dive deeper into this, and I appreciate that as an instructor, as a parent, all of that. I appreciate all of you for being here. So, and then a little bit more about what I've been doing with the CVC. So I don't know if you all caught my presentation, but as I started to learn more and more about AI, I think it happened at the Future Summit last year in Santa Clara. It just, a light bulb went off and I'm like, oh my gosh, AI and accessibility. Ding, 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 ding. So that's been my focus is creating a bot to help with this accessibility. So I'll show you guys that today, and hopefully you can spread the word, share that with your colleges, and of course, reach out to me if you want further information about it, and we can always dive deeper into it. But hopefully show you a lot of that stuff and dive deeper into Section D. So let me share my screen here. And feel free to be interactive, shout out, whatever you want to do, chat. I like this being interactive. I don't want it to be like just me up here, no feedback. I love feedback from everybody. So feel free to just jump in whenever you want. I'm going to share, present, share. Okay, let's see if you no, hold on one second. Here we go. Okay, so there's my contact information. I want to share that first because I always forget, like every time I present. So want to lead with that in case you want to get in contact with me, dive deeper, happy to do that. So let's go into a little bit about Section D, and let's just frame this whole thing. Let's frame all of this. So why are we here? We're not looking at just compliance, right? We want to move beyond compliance. Yes, there's the laws, right? There's the ADA, there's a Section 508, and it's important to know the laws. It's important to know the laws because you will, I'm sure some of you have received pushback before, like, why do I need to do this? Why does it matter? But I don't like to focus on the laws because that's not really what this is about, right? This is about equity. This is really about equity and creating equitable learning environments for our students first and foremost, and creating equal learning opportunities for our students, creating inclusion for our students, and not just students with disabilities, right? Because not all students with disabilities only use accessibility, right? So you have students, maybe they just like reading, having captions turned on. Does anybody have that? Does anybody watch Netflix with captions turned on? I do. I feel like I just have to, right? So there's so many reasons why our students might be using these accessibility features that we're building in our courses, not just because they have a disability. But of course, that's kind of our North Star. But know that this is actually going to improve the learning environment for all your students, not just the students with disabilities. And there's a lot of students that are just neurodiverse, right? They learn differently, right? They just, maybe they grew up in a different culture. Maybe they work full time and they've got kids around. So there's so many different reasons why these accessibility, features work for all students, not just students with disabilities. So we want to really focus on Section D. We want to shift our mindset from like a checklist compliance, right? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, you're POCR approved. We want to shift it to, is this course usable? Is it meaningful for our students? Is it perceivable for our students? All students. And I feel like when I've done POCR reviews, speaking about Section D from that lens is very helpful. I don't know if anybody's had experience with that, but that's usually how I approach Section D. Okay, so Section Z is different than the rest of the sections. And I know you guys all know this, but I just want to kind of frame, our conversation here. It's different, right? It's either aligned or incomplete, right? It's not, it's like either it's accessible or it's not. Does anyone know why? Does anyone have any ideas? I don't know if I can see the chat. Let's see. Oh, here we go. There's chat.
Yes.
Anybody have any ideas why? Like either accessible or not?
There's lots of feedback in the chat. Can you see that?
Let's see. There's no in between. Exactly. Non-negotiable, all or nothing. Right. You either are accessible or you're not. There's no like, your page is 75% accessible, so you can only perceive 75% of that page, and the rest of it, oh well, maybe next time, right? So the law doesn't have any wiggle room for that, right? It's either accessible or it's not. And so I've heard, people kind of say, it's not totally accessible. It doesn't totally match Section D, kind of has most of it. Let's go. Let's, we're good, right? It's aligned. No, it's either all Section D or not at all. And has anybody ever experienced that where like someone's like, oh, I got most of it and it's fine, right? How do you handle that? I'm curious.
It could be that one of the issues is that our accessibility checkers give a
Mhm.
percentage. So when
Yes.
we're helping folks and they're like, but it's
Yeah.
85% accessible, that then they feel that they've met some sort of threshold.
Yes. Yes. I hate that percentage. Totally. Yes. Yes. Anyone else? Thank you, Monica. That was awesome. Anyone else have any ideas? Yeah. Yeah. So Cynthia shared the checkers aren't as helpful as they are meant to be. Like a bridge that is 85. Yes. We tell folks that in this case, 100% is passing. Exactly. Perfect. That's right, Lori. So it's really all or nothing. It's either accessible or it's not. There's no 85%, there's no 90%. And a lot of those accessibility checkers are misleading. And so that's up to us, right, as our POCR reviewers to really relay that information and empower our faculty, right, in understanding the nuances of these accessibility checkers. Right. And so many faculty members also believe that if the accessibility checker doesn't flag anything, there are no problems. Yeah, 100%. And that's another issue, right? Because we're moving away from just compliance, which is what the accessibility checker does, right? To, is it usable? Is it perceivable? Is it meaningful to the students? So that's where that human layer comes in, right? That context that we're able to notice, not the accessibility checkers or AI. Okay. Thank you. Awesome feedback. Okay, so there's the legal compliance, right? And so it's important for us as POCR reviewers, as Section D reviewers, to know the laws. Actually, it's important for the entire institution, management, classified, faculty, everybody to understand and know the laws and be up to date with any changes with the laws because it's an institutional responsibility. It's not just a faculty responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility to make the instructional environment and the academic environment accessible. So it's important to know the law. So it's always good to have that kind of on hand in case, an instructor wants that information. So I always like to have a little tab with all that there to share in case they want it. But again, I don't lead with the laws. I'm not the accessibility police, but it's good to understand that it's there and it's a requirement and there's no gray area, right? It's the law. So we want to make sure that, we understand Section 508. We understand the, WCAG 2.1 AA, which is the new ADA Title II revisions, right? And have those links to share out if we need to with faculty. And we also want to make sure that they understand the difference between Section 508 and Section 504, right? So does anyone want to speak about that or have any background with that? I know Eric does. Eric, Eric, I'm Eric Wilson. I'm calling you out. We've worked together before.
I'm sorry, I was helping somebody else at the same time.
No
Sorry.
worries. How are you?
I'm
So-
doing well. I'm doing well. Essentially checking for us. It's we have faculty who are resistant, but it's evolving a lot. And we have tools that we're using. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the tools we're using right now, but we have tools that are a little bit better, written by faculty for faculty. And I'm hoping to have Ellie's tool on accessibility check. I want to let her show later on because I think this will be a big help. So, but it's It's hard to get faculty to be motivated, but what we've done to do is make it so that it's successful for everyone, not just people with disabilities, because we have people who are learning our language, still need the same tools, the same requirements. So it's for everyone. And that seems to be really helping out a lot. And we're going to push UDL starting to fall more. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes. So, Eric, you alluded to, it's not just for students with disabilities. Um, so Section 504, right, is accessibility for students who are DSPS students. So these are students who went to DSPS, right, showed their medical records to DSPS, right, or an IEP, right, and they have a disability, or maybe they were tested through DSPS. So they've been tested, they've seen a doctor, they have a diagnosed disability. Okay. There is a whole host of other people who have not done that, right? For whatever reason. Maybe they just don't have met the threshold of what a disability is, right? But they still have learning problems. Maybe they are in a particular stressful point of their life and they're struggling to learn at this point of their life because of their, situational circumstances at this point. There's a whole host of people that do not have an IEP, that do not have a diagnosis, that still learn and perceive differently than the norm. And I would say there's no norm anymore, right? Like all of our students have variability. And so Eric mentioned UDL, and that's really the lens we want to look at things through, is universal design and designing our courses from the beginning with variability in mind, because all our students have variability, right? Whether or not they're DSPS students, whether or not they have Title V accommodations, our students have variability. Done, right? Period. So that's our reality. So just really relaying that and communicating that clearly, understanding universal design for learning is crucial when you're working with instructors on these courses. And I think that really helps frame POCR, because not just Section D is UDL, right? I really find like Section A through C has a lot of UDL in there too, right? Like it's the whole thing. Section D is the accessibility formatting, the technical accessibility formatting, but UDL is really A through D, I believe. So thank you, Eric, for that feedback. Anyone else want to jump in? I'm just looking at the chat really quick. Yeah. Universal design is the way to go. I love to see that. Absolutely. And I've heard, and I don't know if any of you have heard, people saying, or faculty saying, well, what if I probably won't have a student with disability, or when I have a student with disability, then I'll put I'll do the accommodations, right? Or I may never have a student who uses a screen reader. Why do I have to do all this work, right? And so that's why you frame it with UDL, right? This is about accessibility for all, which is Section 508, right? Which is the law saying everything has to have a level of accessibility the minute the student even goes on the website for the college, right? We don't need to know anything about them, and that accessibility has to be there. I think I heard somebody. Does anyone want to say anything? Or I thought I heard someone. Just checking to see any hands up. We're good?
Yeah, Tracy made a comment.
Oh yeah, Tracy.
Yeah.
Is it in chat?
Oh, Eric, I know. Oh.
Yes. Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, 504 focuses on accommodations. 508 focuses on making the course accessible for all before the course begins. So it's very proactive. Yes. I should be paid more to check for accessibility. Yes. Yes, Eric, I've heard that too as well. And it's important to acknowledge, and it's different for me because I was faculty, right? And then now I'm management. So I've been in that faculty seat. I get it, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But I'm going to show you how, now that's where AI comes in, right? So I'm going to show you some AI tips and tricks that you can relay to the faculty that you're working with to hopefully mitigate some of that that feeling of it being overwhelming. But it's important to acknowledge it. Okay, so let's really quick, I kind of want to make this your presentation because I know most of you understand Section D. So I'm not going to go into all the, the items within Section D. I really want to focus mainly on what you want to focus on. So let's do a little poll if you can. Let's see where you all have the most, issues. Where are you seeing the most issues? I think I know the answer to this, but let's do a poll. Does anyone need the link in chat? Yes, okay. Hold on a second. I have to navigate away from this really quick, Monica, so just give me a minute and I'll get it for you. Oh, thank you, Nick. Yeah, so Monica, just use that slide that URL that Nick shared and then use that code. And I can get you the direct link if needed. Okay. Okay, so a lot of PDFs. Oops, sorry. Sorry. It's a kind of a long, it's not showing all of them. There's stuff down here. So I was trying to get to the stuff down at the bottom. Captions. I thought captions was going to be the winner, but not so much, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, it's those documents, it's those files that I think are a culprit.
I can't get to the bottom of the slide. It's not showing me the whole thing.
I think one of the reasons why that documents is number one is because a lot of POCR leads and reviewers have learned to remediate the others and train our faculty, but those documents, there's just so many variables, so many unknowns, so many different kinds. And, people put these PowerPoint slides in so many different formats in their courses that it's so hard to make those accessible. I think that's
Absolutely.
I feel personally that's what it is.
And there's some that are easier to make accessible. There's some that are not as easy to make accessible, right? So like Microsoft is a lot easier to work with than Google. Google has some inherent accessibility issues. So Google Slides, PowerPoint, of course, if you don't have the native document, it's very hard to do. I mean, I'm sorry, PDFs, not PowerPoints. Absolutely. So let me show you the entire poll. 1 second. There's more to it and it's not showing on the PowerPoint. 1 second. So we can see the whole thing.
Yes. Oh, wow. Interesting. Lots of interesting answers here.
Right? It's really good information.
Yeah. Huh.
1 second. Of course, it logged me out. Okay, let me share with you. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we have mainly we've got a lot of PDFs, PowerPoints. Captions were pretty high. I thought for sure captions would be number one. General accessibility, lack of accessibility awareness. And then it looks like everything else is kind of close to even. Okay, awesome. Good information. Anyone want to reflect on this, chime in, share anything? Okay, perfect. So let's dive in. Let's go to inaccessible documents. So what are you seeing? I think I know the answer to this, but who wants to kind of share? What are you seeing with the documents? Where are your issues? And Sochi shared a little bit. What are you seeing is the main issue with documents? And feel free to just share out. Yeah.
I've seen scanned, like Xeroxed chapters
Yeah.
that or sections of stories like, oh, I want to use this. And then, so they'll Xerox. Did I just say that word? I did, huh? I think I just did it myself. Anyway, back in the day, at least I didn't say mimeograph.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, when they copy it and then they scan it and then they PDF it that way, and it's completely not usable. So it's I know why they're doing it. They're doing it and they say they're doing it to provide, well, I just want that first chapter available or that first story available for everyone because they haven't got the book yet. And I'm like, yeah, but you might have made it harder for everybody. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I know that why they're doing it, but it's not. Yeah. Anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, awesome. And is the quality good of the scan, or is it just kind of
No,
no?
that's
Yeah.
the worst part. They slam the book down. It's all
Yeah.
wonky. It's mirrored in one
Yeah.
side or there's too much black around the outside of it. It's not a good thing.
Yes. And so that's why, and thank you, Nick. That's why we want to kind of really give them information about OER, right? As much as possible, ZTC, because that will really remediate a lot of this stuff. Garrick, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think one of the things that's been really difficult is for a full-time faculty to stay abreast to the conversation is difficult. And so all of us are in this realm where we've had these conversations a lot. And so we're all kind of well aware of the changes that are happening. But for the typical full-time faculty, that might not be on their radar. Or for the typical part-time faculty, that might not be the first thing on their radar necessarily. And so it's really all of our jobs to assist with that. So they really have those accessibility and universal design qualities in their course before the course even starts. And so the more we can get ahead of it, the better it is for all of us.
Absolutely. And communicate that, right? Very clearly frame the conversation and be that point of contact. A lot of our institutions don't have instructional designers or accessibility specialists. So we're kind of like wearing all those hats, right? Monica.
Yes, I agree with Michelle Soltero that OER, a lot of them are not accessible. But the thing is that even when we have faculty who'd like to link out to a website, let's say that website's not accessible, I tell them it's like a one pager. I like just go ahead and copy that, clear out all the coding, and then just put it in a Canvas page. Like,
Yes.
why do you want to have and then not even a descriptive link, right? To a PDF. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
accessibility is like triple fold. Like, this is not
Mm-hmm.
accessible because of this, and this, and this. It's not just the one thing. And I tell them you could make this so much easier if you just either retyped, and I get it, carpal tunnel, or copy paste,
I'm
remove
gonna
the formatting, and then reformat.
I'm gonna give you a trick right now, Monica.
Right, that
Anyone
sounds
else want
great
to?
to
Yes.
me.
Anyone want to chime in before we Oh, yes. And somebody did mention, oh, yeah, Michelle, OER materials are not accessible. The OER materials were produced, but UDL was not considered. Yes. So sometimes you do have OER materials and they're just like this big block of text. And you're like, okay, I need to do something more so it's more usable for our students, right? So maybe it is accessible in terms of an accessibility checker. So it passes the accessibility checker. But we're not just looking at the accessibility checkers, right? We have a UDL lens. We want to make sure that this is a usable, perceivable, right, meaningful piece of text for our students. And maybe some of our students are struggling readers, right? And so or maybe they have ADHD, right? Or maybe they have ADD, or maybe they have, they're slightly on the spectrum, or whatever the case is, right? There's so many reasons why a big block of text is not going to work, even if it's passing the accessibility checker. So we want to move beyond that. Someone else had their hand up. Let's see. Charisse, thank you.
Yeah. Hi, this is Sharice Bellamy. I'm
Hi.
just confirming what I think I already know.
Yeah.
Going back to Michelle, and also I think I saw Cheryl put in copyright with the question mark. So I'm just confirming that if you're using an OER, which is already open and you have permissions and all that wonderful stuff, it's okay if you copy, because I'm going through that right now, creating new courses and using OER. And you just have the links to the website, which is I'm not doing, no. But I'm just confirming that it's okay to basically copy content and put it into your Canvas page as long as you give credit where credit is due and use the copyright information. Now, do you need to do that copyright information on each individual page, or can you like in your welcome module and you're using the OER, and you just put in the welcome module that you're using this OER and give the copyright, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Anyone want to chime in? I see a lot of stuff in chat.
So one of the solutions I have is I'm just building a template page. If that template page that will be used for OER, and then it has the attributions with the correct textbook, and then you just change out the actual page link. So that's how I've handled it in things that I've worked on. But I don't know how anyone else has.
I'm sorry.
And so Joshua says credit on every page, and that is true. But building a template helps that. So you have that attribute already built in, and then you can just add to it.
And you got it. Okay.
That's how, and I don't know if Joshua, if that's what you meant by that.
Okay. Yeah. So Marianne just shared an article about fair use of copyright for accessibility. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So like I said, like Maria just Mary Elena.
Maria Elena.
Maria Elena. I love that. What you just shared, right? Just give credit, right? And she has a template that's beautiful. So if you create a beautiful page, right, and you have a little, copyright info at the bottom, you can just keep using that, copy and paste that, and then put the new information in. That's a great way to do it. I always also include the original link to the OER material. So in case, the student wants to go into that actual OER, they can go in there as well. So let's talk about anyone else before we move on. Let's see, any more hands? Okay, we're good. All right, so let's talk about what can we do? So we have a PDF. So let me share my screen really quick here. Did I share it? Am I sharing? Let's see. Here we go. So I have a PDF here I want to use. And I don't want to just put it into my Canvas page as a PDF, right? Even if it, populates within the page, right? Meaning it becomes visible. There's a way to do that, right? In Canvas where it can become visible in the page. I don't want to do it. I don't want to bother with this thing. I don't want to check the accessibility. I want to make this, not only do I want to make it pass an accessibility checker, I also want to make it usable, right? Perceivable, readable for our students, UDL aligned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use AI to do this for me, make my life easier. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT real quick. Okay, make sure you guys can see that. Yep. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I have already downloaded this PDF, right? And so I'm going to upload it here. And I am going to tell ChatGPT, create a HTML version of this PDF, or convert to PDF, make the content fully accessible. And I like to make sure I'm telling it how. So WCAG 2.1 AA, right? And also make it UDL 3.0 aligned. So, and sometimes I like to give, examples of that. Give options for engagement, make it usable, readable, and more concise. Okay. This will be used in a Canvas page. All right, so let's see. And then you can add more information. Like if your students like gaming, right? And you want to link it somehow, make it relatable or authentic to their experience, you can add that information. If you have students that are from a particular region, you can add that information, any pertinent information about your students that you want to give. Maybe they're struggling readers, maybe you actually know a reading level, whatever that is, you can add to this. So let's see what it does. So now what it's going to do is it's going to it's going to create an OCR, right? It's going to capture the images. So a PDF is an image, right? It's going to capture the image, convert it to HTML. Okay, so I'm going to say, show me HTML. Okay, so there we go. All right, so let's take a look at what it did. We're going to put it into a Canvas page. 1 second. Of course, I didn't log into Canvas beforehand. Wrong, sorry. 1 second, guys. Oh, let's just do this one. It's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug this into Canvas in a page. Pages. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that HTML that it just produced for me. And I'm going to put it into Canvas. Let's take a look at what it did. Oh, so can everyone see that? Let's see. Yep, you can see it. Okay, so it created a nice little banner for me. Pretty cool. Truth be told, I use ChatGPT a lot, so I trained it kind of, so it kind of knows me a little bit. So I have an account. It's important you have an account. You start training it. You tell it what you like, tell it what you don't like. I'll show you my my bot. My bot, I trained it ahead of time, so I'll show that next. But so it came up with an objective, broke down some definitions, beautiful. Created a little engagement activity, pretty nice. Discussion prompts, beautiful. Student reflection, further exploration, cool. That's because I asked it to add a UDL lens, but I can, I can say, I can say just convert to HTML. So I can do that, right? So I can say, just convert to HTML. Do not,
Ellie,
yeah,
there's a request to share the prompt that you did
sure.
in the chat.
Yeah, let me do that. And I
Thanks.
literally just came up with the prompt ahead of time because I wasn't sure like which direction we would be going into. So none of this is prepared. But I wanted you guys to kind of like, I wanted to go where you wanted me to go. So here you go. Here's the prompt. Heads up. Oh yeah, LibreText,
Nice
sorry.
screen snips. Yes, I know.
There you go.
I was writing down notes.
There you go. Okay, so now I said, okay. Okay, show me. So now it's telling me to download. I don't want that. Show me the HTML. Thank you. Now I asked it, I said, don't modify it. Don't change anything. Just make it into a HTML. So let's see what it does. Okay, so this is the kind of modified version. Maybe you don't like it, maybe you do, whatever. And what I always tell people is you always have to check your AI. Always check your AI. Don't just say this is great and click save. You have to check it. So there it is. It converted it into an HTML. So I took my PDF, my original, which was right here, right? And I literally it just changed it into an HTML. And now you can start to add elements, design elements to it. So I can take this, I can copy it, which is just a block of text, not accessible, right? I could put it back into AI if I want and say, now I want you to add this. Now I want you to add that. Let's look at my universal access bot. So this is a bot I created with PlayLab, and I'll share this all with you. So I created it for two reasons: to create UDL content, UDL aligned content, and also for it to meet accessibility standards, WCAG 2.1. I also trained it in the OEI rubric. So it has training in the OEI rubric. It's got training and accessibility standards and UDL alignment. I've also created, put some design. So I teach the CVC at one course, advanced, I always forget it, advanced Canvas techniques. And so I put a lot of codes in there. So a lot of codes for tabs, a lot of codes for expanders to make it visually less overload, because I think that's a real issue with our students, the cognitive load. So it's trained in all that. So you click start. And so now I have my HTML. So I'm going to say, revise HTML so that it is fully accessible. And I think the key here is accessible. It's trained in Canvas accessibility. ChatGPT sometimes likes to give me code that doesn't work with Canvas. And so this has been trained with Canvas accessibility in mind. And it has the allow list, the things that are allowed, the elements that are allowed within Canvas. So I can say revise HTML so that it's fully accessible, organize the content so that it is understandable. And I'm just literally just going, this is me like just impromptu. We're just doing this on the fly. Where did it go? Where'd you go? There you go. Understandable and perceivable to, okay, I saw that, to all students. All students organize so it is, well, let's do that next. So let's see what it does. Okay, so again, it's already trained in Canvas. It's already trained in accessibility. It's already trained in UDL. So let's see what it comes up with. Oh, makes sense. I should probably paste the HTML. Here we go. It's probably like, what? What are you talking about? Okay, so now it's just telling me stuff to do, but I didn't give it the HTML. So let's try this again. Okay, you're giving me all these pointers. All right, here's the HTML. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's see what it does. And wait till you've it's fully populated. I've made that mistake of trying to copy it before it fully populated, and then it's like halfway done. So make sure it fully populates. Okay, so what did it do? It changed the heading structure. It created meaningful links, structured lists. Okay, so let's see what it is, what it did. Let's put it into Canvas. Delete this block of text, which we don't like. Let's see what it did. Oh, very nice. And no accessibility issues. Now, if you want to go a step further, now you can add some design elements there. So you can say, you can go back to PlayLab and you can say, okay, I want you to add a HTML header. Let's see. Let's see, what can I do here? Primary sources, objectives, materials. Well, let's put all this stuff after comparing types of primary sources in tabs or expand. Let's do expanders. So it's not so visually overloading. Oh, visually intimidating. So add expanders to all content after, and then I want to add alternating content blocks. Let's see what it does. Alternating colored content blocks. I like those a lot. So basically it breaks up the page by light gray, white, light gray, white. Let's see what it does. Okay, so we have our blocks. Light gray block, very good, thank you. Let's let it populate and we'll see how it looks. Okay. Copy it, let's put it back into Canvas.
As people put their bots into the chat, I'm just copying them with your name and then putting them onto a doc. So,
Oh, cool.
and I'll clean it up later. But
Thank
I'm
you.
just trying to capture all of the.
So there it is. It's beautiful. Let's save it. Let's see. Sample assignment. Let's see what it looks like. Once you save it, you can see really how everything works and functions. Nice. So we have all this in nice expanders, nice and clean. We have, you know, the varied content blocks, gray and white, very simple, navy blue, good for color contrast, right? We've made it a little bit more readable and perceivable for our students. And of course, you can continue to modify this, right? You can continue to say, like, let me add something else from another assignment. You can continue. You can add a call out box. I really like call out boxes. So this is coded for a call out box. So if you want, you could say, add a call out box. Add a call out box that says, I'm just going to make something up. Feedback on assignment will be given within 48 hours within Canvas gradebook. Okay. So let's have that. I want to put that there. And then so if you're putting an OER in here, right? You can add a call out box with the copyright information. You can add a footer. You can ask it to add a footer with copyright information that you can add at the end of the page, at every page that you're putting OER information in. So here we go. Here's my little call out box. Okay. So revise the whole thing. Wait till it populates. I do that a lot. Oh, and it even did a little navy blue footer. There we go. So let's see what it did. Let's check it out now.
Hey, Ellie, just to
Yes.
clarify, you're not using CD Labs, right?
No.
Thanks.
Not in this one, but
No.
I think your very first one, you were in a different page, it looked like. But I
For
could be
City
wrong.
Labs?
Or Design Plus, I think it was Design Plus. Is that the same?
Yeah. It's still here. And I can add more, right? Like I can add, like Design Plus has way more than what like an AI can do, right? It can add a feedback option. It could add a progress bar, all kinds of cool stuff, right? So right now I don't have City Labs open. Right now I'm just doing accessibility work because not every college has City Labs, right? So it's an expensive product, but this is just basic accessibility work. Of course, you can add bells and whistles and all kinds of cool design stuff with City Labs if your college has it. Okay, let's see. And then so now we have a little call out box. If you don't like that color, you can ask it to change the color. Nope, I want it navy blue. And then we have a footer there with click next to continue.
And to clarify, sorry, Ellie, to clarify, all of the call out boxes that you're seeing right now and the banners, that was created with the bot.
With the bot.
It's not Design Plus that is
No.
creating that. I just want to restate that for everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I have not used it. I have not opened up Design Plus because it's not, and not everybody has that. But yeah, Design Plus has like the extra bells and whistles that you can add as well. But yeah, this is just HTML coding within the bot, nothing else. And then let me look at chat.
So I'm looking at chat. There was someone asked for a list of recommended commands, and that's funny because um, it takes a while to train yourself to ask the right questions, and but I don't know if there's like a training course for command training course. I mean,
Let's do
I
it.
think it's just hit and miss for me.
Let's do
I
it.
just
Let's
like,
do
oh,
it.
actually, that was not the right command,
We
and
have
then I'll
we
try
have
again.
yeah, we have Garrick here. Let's do it. Come on, Garrick, you ready? Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea, right? So let me just show you some other stuff that I did. So I had a page, and let me go ahead and show you the page first. 1 second. So, oh, let me show you, let me give you the PlayLab bot. 1 second. Let me share that with you first. So, you guys, and this is free to use, right? You don't need an account. It was created using through the chancellor's office. So, use it, have fun with it. And if it's giving you problems, give me feedback because then I can fix it from the back end. So we were doing a CVC plug and play, and someone was having problems with the bot, and so they reached out to me, and I'm like, oh, that's weird, and then I went and I fixed it. So if you have any issues, feel free to reach out to me because I welcome that feedback, and I want to make it as usable for and as meaningful for our faculty. So if you have a specific thing that it's not really working well for you, or a specific item you need updating, or whatever it is, reach out to me and I can usually program the bot to help you with that. But that feedback is very, very meaningful. So let me show you really quick. So while you guys play with the bot, 1 second. So go ahead and check out the bot. The link is in the chat. And like Maria Elena said, just play with it. Just experiment. That's honestly how I learned, is you really can't make it mad. You just kind of have to just keep going until you get what you like, and always check it. Don't just say, oh, it looks good. And you are the boss of AI, and you always have to check it. AI likes to hallucinate. My bot only pulls a little bit from ChatGPT, not too much. So it shouldn't be too bad, but it does pull a little bit from ChatGPT, even though I've trained it. So just be aware of that and always make sure that, you're checking it and you're checking the output.
Cheryl has her hand.
Yeah, Cheryl.
I must be in WITSEC this week. My picture's not showing up. Witness protection.
Oh,
Bad.
Cheryl. Hi.
It's been a while. So when you pulled up that PDF, what type of PDF was it? One you created or one you got from the web?
I just grabbed from the web.
All right, so this is what I wanted to clarify way back when I said copyright question mark. So you took it from the web, wasn't yours, and it wasn't OER. So where does that fall within all of what we were talking about? We just have to do the citing and we're good. Okay.
Yeah, I think if you just cite it, you're good. I mean, honestly, I would have just grabbed an OER, but I wasn't prepared to do the whole PDF to HTML thing, so I kind of winged it and grabbed something from the web. But most of us will be pulling from OER, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But that particular one, I just grabbed from the web.
Marvelous.
Thank you. Great question. Anyone else? Of course I cannot. Where did I put that? Okay, so let's take a look at some sample prompts that I've used, and I'll show you the difference between the output that I got from ChatGPT and from the Universal Access bot, and you can kind of see the difference. And I invite you to just play with all different kinds. You know, Claude's very good. Some people have a lot of success with Claude. Claude is great. Sometimes Claude gives me, sometimes it's not as great at coding. So just an FYI, but it's pretty good. So but you know, you always want to check, and you always want to use an accessibility checker after, right? So once you put it in, doesn't mean like, oh, AI said it's good to go, I'm good, right? No, it's, you still have to check that accessibility, especially ChatGPT. I noticed there's color contrast issues with the links. So I usually have to adjust the color contrast after I put everything in. So always run an accessibility checker after to make sure that it is accessible.
Ellie,
Okay,
there's a
yeah,
question in the chat.
yeah,
Wanda asked, can't you upload a PDF, Word, or PowerPoint to your bot?
you can. You can do that. It'll check a word. It'll it'll revise a word. So you can say revise the Word document so it's fully accessible, create a Word document for me. So it'll do that, but it won't create, ChatGPT will do a PowerPoint, but it's not great. But it will check accessibility, or it'll give you pointers for accessibility. So you can always ask it. Like, so for instance, if we're reviewing for section D, you can always put a page in and be like, is this accessible? Give me some suggestions. And if it's not accessible, what's not accessible, right? So you can always ask AI, and I'm going to show you what I did. So I have, I'm a POCR reviewer, section D, right? So this is the prompt I used for ChatGPT. You are evaluating the accessibility of a Canvas page from a community college course using the CVC OEI course design rubric. You can even upload the rubric. Specifically, section D, accessibility. Analyze the provided HTML without making any changes to the code, because we don't want to make changes, right? We're not doing the work for the instructors. We are just guiding them, right? Use the uploaded CVC OEI section D rubric as your evaluation guide. Determine whether the HTML aligns with section D accessibility standards, and explain why or why not, citing specific rubric criteria in your response. Okay, let's see what ChatGPT said. Okay. So I plugged in the HTML right after that prompt. So there's the prompt. Here's the HTML from the page. And it says, based on the CVC OEI course design rubric, here's an analysis of the provided HTML content. Okay. Okay, so aligned elements. So we have one descriptive link. That's cool. We have some images with alt text. That's cool. Most color combinations. So would that work? Most? No, right? There's no most, right? It's either accessible or not. Okay, so reading order, we're good. Okay, partially aligned, needs improvement. Not aligned, right? So here is everything that's not aligned. It gave me the HTML code. If you don't want the HTML code, you can say, don't give me the HTML code, because that can be a little bit confusing. Some images without alt text. The video, there's no caption, there's no appropriate captions. Okay, there was no audio. Not aligned. No evidence of an HTML accessibility checker being used. We don't know that. Just because it's not in the HTML doesn't mean they didn't use one. So that one's something that we have to, you know, that's for us, right? That's the human part, right? No use of lists. And then it creates a nice little chart. So this is just a starting point for you, right? Maybe, right? And of course we do have accessibility checkers as well, but it's maybe be kind of cool to create, to provide this little, um, chart for them, right? As a visual or something for them to look at. And of course, you always look as well, right? You always double check, but you can ask it for suggestions, right? And you can ask it for specific reasons why. So if a faculty is saying, oh, well, why do I have to do this? You can always ask AI, and AI will give you information about why. Okay, so let's take a look at what the Universal Access bot did. I did the same thing. And I want to show you the original before also as well. So let me copy this HTML. Okay, so universal access bot, let's look at what the response is. Similar similar response. Oh, did it not? One
So
second.
Ellie's,
Yeah.
Sally asked if the instructor's permission is being sought first before you put it into ChatGPT. Is this, I mean, is this something that you would maybe work with an instructor together on, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, like I would say, I would show the instructor, right? Like this is a great, and most instructors are pretty open to it, especially, you know, you want to make sure that it's anonymous. Like you don't want to put any student information in, right? You don't want anything that gives it personal information out, right? So be mindful of that. But then also most instructors are pretty open to learning about this stuff, right? I think most people want help, right? It's a lot of work. And if we can use AI, you know, and I know AI can be very divisive at times, right? And people have big opinions about it, and I totally understand that. But if we could use it as a tool, another tool, um, why not, right? And so most instructors are very open to learning about it, and very excited when they learn about it. However, you should have a conversation about like, hey, I use AI as well. And an accessibility checker is a third party LTI, right? An accessibility checker is of course, I don't remember my password, is a third party LTI. So it's there's security issues there, but you can just say I use AI, and if they have an issue, be like, let's do it together. Let me show you what I do. You can always change some of the content. So if you want, you know, if you want to just, you know, change it up a little bit, it doesn't matter if it's if the name changes, the AI doesn't care. All you're looking at is the accessibility part of it. One second. Of course, I get logged out and I can't get back in. Okay, here we go. So let's use the universal access bot. Okay, so here's my HTML. I'm going to put that in before I forget. And then I'm going to put my prompt. Similar to the one from ChatGPT. So it says, review the provided HTML for alignment with the CVC OEI rubric section D. So this is trained in it, so I don't have to upload it. So that's nice. Refer, okay, so I don't need that. I don't need to upload. If you want to upload it, sure, why not? It's not going to hurt. I'm not going to. Do not modify or edit the HTML. We don't want to do the work, right? We're just checking. Analyze whether the HTML meets the accessibility standards outlined in section D. Clearly state whether it aligns. Explain why or why not. Referencing specific criteria from the rubric. So let's see what the bot does. Okay, so it says it does not fully align. It's telling me where. Images, heading styles, links, color contrast, multimedia, lists. And so this accessibility checker, that one really is not, I wouldn't, you know, take that to heart, because an instructor can use an accessibility checker. It may not be present in the HTML. That one I would disregard. So so it's giving me some ideas about where it's not aligned. And again, then you want to go in and you want to, you know, check it yourself, right? And you know, use your information, your knowledge of accessibility, right? And say, okay, do I agree with this? Do I not? Because a lot of it requires interpretation, right? And there's nuances to accessibility, right? So it's not always going to check It's not going to always know the nuances of certain things. For instance, I think Cheryl, you brought up something, right? Like an accessibility checker was flagging the color black, right? We were talking about that. Are you still here, Cheryl?
Yep. They won't let me out, remember?
So what were you were saying? Can you talk about what we were discussing?
Oh, yes. And you do it. If you change, well, it might be others, but if somebody changes a word to pink and you gracefully tell them that might not be the best color. And then they change it to black, which they really meant to clear formatting or use the little red line in the white or the clear box. And then it'll pick it up as avoid using color for emphasis. And the choices are make it bold, make it italics. And I believe it does say remove color, but it doesn't always work. And this poor instructor had 200 of them. And they know what they were doing, but it just takes forever to do it. So I'm trying to, I was researching the Slack channel for Design Plus or You Do It. And I just wondered if anybody else had a fix. But this, I was just thinking while Ellie was showing this, there might be a fix in this because it's just one of those things that it's about training,
Yeah,
right?
removing the color, but
Removing
it's
the
picking up
color
black
as a
as the
style.
color, right? To convey
Mhm.
meaning when it's just black. So as a sighted user, it just looks like all the other text within Canvas, right? It doesn't look like it's a color, but the AI, the bot there, or not the bot, I guess it's kind of a bot. The You Do It, right? Is saying, oh, that's a color. It's black. But as for a sighted user, it looks the same as everything else. So people are getting flagged like 200 times. I also had that issue when we were copying over a course from another semester. Everything was formatted as black, not no color, right? And so it was being flagged. So those are the kind of like nuances where we can look at it and be like, okay, it's actually okay. Maria?
So the issue that Cheryl was talking about with it, with black specifically being tagged, is because in the coding, it
Yeah,
has it tagged with the specific color,
Mhm.
but it will still flag black because when you go into dark mode, it won't pick up black.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the issue there, and you do have to remove styling instead of like changing colors or whatever, but that's why some people get confused and it's saying, well, it's already black. Why is it tagging it? It's because it's
Right.
dark mode. Yeah.
Right. Because the default would be that not black. It'd be like, it's not tagged a color,
right.
but you're
Yeah.
right about the dark mode. And so again, it goes back to training when we say, when you copy and paste, make sure you clear formatting so that behind the scenes there's no styles, it's only P tags, and
Right.
they're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's nothing assigned to the text. And it goes into the conversation about, um, well, I like to make it bigger,
Yeah.
the font size, or I like to
Mhm.
make it not black. Anyway, it goes down to a little rabbit hole, but for sure, Maria, the different modes which faculty don't think of, or the
Mhm.
fact that Ellie and I were talking the other day too about learners with different needs will have their settings crazy. Like they might have 200% that they're looking at, or they have different colors, or they have different contrasts, or brightness, even. And if we're changing it because, you know what, I think I needed a little bit bigger font, then
Mhm.
it's just changing their experience completely. And
Yeah.
they'll say, I can't see that on the screen. Well, that's because you already made it bigger. So, I it just would make it easier for, especially at Coastline, they have you do it. They're going through the accessibility audit, and it just takes a lot of time. So maybe we're going to try the bot way.
Mhm.
Yeah. And just for everybody else that's here might not be used to looking at code and stuff, the thing that it flags, it's for specific lines. So like what Ellie's showing right now, that page looks all black, right? But
Mhm.
if for some reason somebody at some point coded, let's say, a specific line, so that you can find a variety. So the second sentence, if that was a different color and then it got switched back to black, and the code on the back end, it adds a color only to that specific sentence. And so to us, it looks
Mhm.
fine, right? But that's why you do it, flags it. It's
Yep.
because, yeah, if the color is attached specific to just a certain piece, and then you change modes and things like that, then your students might not be able to see it. So in case you get those questions, if you do use you do it or any other thing
Yeah.
and it's flagging black as an issue, it's because of that. It's because it's only like a color is attached to a little piece of it.
Right. So if you go into the HTML, Ellie, you could see where it says color 000. Like,
That's the color.
don't want it to be a color.
Yeah. But to us, it looks fine, right?
Right.
Like, so for instance, I've turned this black, this part's black right here. And then this is the default. So you can kind of see a little difference, but not much, right?
Which is
S-
another issue because the
yeah,
default should just be flipping black.
right. So this is the original, right? Don't think a bot did this. This is the original assignment. I wanted to show you originally what it looked like, right? So this is the assignment that I had. So we have a PDF here. We have, we have issues with links, right? We have highlighting. We have, issues with color, contrast. So that's the original I wanted to show you that the bot analyzed and gave feedback on. So I can, let's see if we can play around with it. Let's see if we can pretend assignment. Let's do pretend. Let's see if we can invert the colors to see what it looks like. So settings. Okay, another little tip. You can enable immersive readers. Anybody have that enabled in their course? Awesome. I love it. Does your college automatically have it enabled?
We
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yes, lots of people in the chat do.
Awesome. Yeah. It's really cool. Let's see. Oh, sorry, wrong spot. So under account, and you can show this to your students, you can show this to your faculty. Settings, all the way down, you have accessibility settings. So a lot of these things students can kind of toggle on and off. I'm going to toggle on immersive reader. There it is. Okay, it's on. All right, so let's see if we can play with the color of this page. So invert it. Where are you again? Sorry, guys, I got to go back into it. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? All the way at the bottom. Okay, there it is. Okay, so immersive reader. Everyone see that? Okay, so let's see if we can play with text preferences. So this is where, like Cheryl was talking about, the student, if they have these tools, whether it's DSPS or it's, this is a UDL tool, right? So this is not just for students with disabilities. This is just an option. You can, oh, come on. I don't want to print. What happened? Cancel. Okay, so you can you can toggle, you can change the font size. Let's see, let's invert it. Oh, it does it. It shows it even with black. But maybe are you maybe talking about like Zoom text or JAWS? I forget who was talking. Cheryl, do you know who was just chiming in about the color and inverting colors?
Me.
Maria. I thought it was Maria, but I didn't want to give the wrong name. Okay, so
come on, Ellie.
it actually, I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to names on here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like,
And it'll depend on the tool, and that's
yeah,
why we
yes.
do it
So I'm thinking
specifically,
JAWS, right? Yeah,
like in other tools that might be using it, because
right.
this one is the Canvas tool for the screen reader, but they might be accessing from an app, they might be accessing from their phone, and because we don't know those specific
And
settings,
phone's dark
that's why
mode,
they
yeah.
flag it.
Yeah, yeah. It depends on the tool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So yeah, so this is the original. And so AI, both of them kind of gave me a little bit of a different, information about it. And then you can go on and you can, show the instructor how to modify it, right? And give them some, how to use AI if they're comfortable with it, to help with the assignment. And we don't do it for them, right? So we're going to lead. We're going to, um, guide them in it. But it should, really help with some of that grunt work or perceivable grunt work, for accessible remediation. Okay, so just some best practices when we're using AI. Always combine it with a manual review, right? You want to use your AI checkers and manually review it, right? So AI can help speed up the review, but you always still want to verify manually to ensure that it's truly inclusive and meets legal and ethical standards. Why? AI can't always fully interpret human context, right? There's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of things that only we can interpret. So for instance, AI might not catch whether an image conveys essential instructional content. So it could say, yeah, it's tagged for alt text, right? But is it a good alt text, right? Is it instructionally relevant for the student? Sometimes it messes up with color contrast, or sometimes it doesn't really. I know I've had this experience with ChatGPT. Sometimes the color contrast is an issue, so you always have to do a manual check afterwards. It's not great at checking for human captioning. It might say something's captioned when it's auto captioned. We all know that that's not ADA compliant auto captions, right? There's a lot of misspellings. There's no punctuation. Auto scroll is not compliant. Auto captions are not compliant. So it's not fantastic at checking whether or not a video has captions. It'll say, yes, it has captions, but then when you go and do a manual check, it's auto captions. Sometimes it will say whether there's a heading structure, but it's up to us to interpret if that heading structure makes sense, right? It's about usability. It's about making something meaningful. So an instructor may tag it with a heading structure that passes your accessibility check or maybe passes an AI check. However, doesn't make sense. Do the links make sense? So they tagged the link, right? They formatted it correctly. But does it make sense, right? Does it make sense within context? So only we can assess usability. It's not about compliance, it's about the real user experience. So only us as humans can really assess true human usability. So we are an important piece. These are just extra tools. So in conclusion, we want to center the conversation about equality, about equity, right? For all students to succeed, we want to center the conversation about inclusion and enhancing the learning experience for all students, not just maybe the few students here and there that may be using a screen reader. Any questions? Anything else?
Allie, would you be willing to share your slides?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions for
anything else?
Allie? We have a couple minutes.
Look at the chat here. Okay, so Eric said, I created something similar in ChatGPT. You can upload a course cartridge. Awesome.
So there was a question in the chat about Meg asked, I'm curious to hear your answer to the question above about asking permission from teachers to share their content with ChatGPT. So is there your answer, or other people have answered the question, but do you have a answer to that?
Yeah, like I'll usually say like I use AI um to do checks, right? And I'm like, on the AI task force, I'm on like the AI lead, like so they know like if there's gonna be some AI, there's AI in everything I do hourly, basically. But I talk to them, I'm like, I use AI, I remove all student information, right? I can even make it more anonymous. So at the bottom of my PlayLab bot, I'll share that with you really quick so you can see the screen. Right at the bottom. So there's information on how to make your content anonymous. I can even change a couple things on there so it doesn't, like ChatGPT's, it doesn't say read the book dot 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 or read the book whatever. Like you could change the name of a book or you could change whatever and then change it back. But I'm just using it to check the tagging, the HTML tagging, right, and the accessibility of the page. But I'm always I'm always very transparent with the instructors that I am using the bot, and I welcome them to sit with me and do it. Like let's do it together. I want them to learn this information and this tool. And I also repeat, I always make it very clear, it's a tool. It's not me, it's a tool. And it's a first starting point, and sometimes it gets it wrong, but that's why there's always a manual check, and I'm always assessing it for usability. But yeah, I always just have a transparent conversation with the instructor, and usually they're open to learning new tools because, like many of you said, it's hard work, right? So hopefully that answered the question, sort of. I don't have anything like official I hand them, or I just have a comment. Yeah, I don't have an official like here's your NDA or anything. I don't have anything like that. Like it's like, hey, I use AI. Like, are you cool with that? Are you not cool with that? Like, okay, you're not cool with that. All right, what if I modify some of this stuff, make it anonymous? Are you cool with it now? Would you like to do it with me? Right, that kind of stuff.
All right, any other last questions? Marilena did drop a link to a survey. If you can complete that, please, before I know some of you have to go. Hopefully some of you can stick around for another 30 minutes so we can talk about rubric revision. Any last questions for Ellie?
There's some in the chat. I'm just looking at, sorry, that's my dog.
Captioning in accessible format. Using ChatGPT to convert auto captioning into an accessible format.
Yeah, so unfortunately, ChatGPT can't do that yet. I wish it could. Trust me, I keep looking every other day for that. It does not. That is something we have to do. There are strategies that ways that we can kind of make it faster and more efficient, but ChatGPT does not do that. You can get a transcript for some videos, but it doesn't fix captions yet. How do we respond to the college community in regard to being a hypocrite? I'm very much against. Sorry, I'm reading this out loud, John. AI for student use in crafting paper. However, would I and my peers be hypocrites using ChatGPT to create accessible content? Anyone have any insight on that?
So I'll just say,
yeah, I'd like to comment on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did somebody unmute themselves?
Yeah. So with regard to if a student comes up to you and says, "Hey, aren't you a hypocrite? You're telling me not to use ChatGPT to do my work, but you're using it to grade my work or to do other aspects of your employment." My response is, you do work for different reasons. Sometimes you do push-ups to exercise your arms, and sometimes you're just trying to get off the floor. If you're just trying to get off the floor, it's okay to lean on something to stand up. But if you're doing push-ups, don't let Roomba do your push-ups, okay? There are things you do work for that's not just to get that thing done. It's for the experience. It's for the exercise. That's why we call them exercises, by the way. So that would be my response to a student who questions whether I'm a hypocrite for using ChatGPT to build a new course for them, because I'm trying to get that course done, as opposed to them trying to run laps, do push-ups, or do exercises in chemistry.
Right.
That's my
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and you know what? It's not replacing your critical thinking, right? Like you are still the content expert. It's still your information, it's still your thoughts, right? It's still your you are the expert, right? You're the content expert. It's not replacing that critical thinking, but what it's doing is it's uh it's a tool, right? That's making us be a little bit more efficient. It's not like you don't understand what accessibility is, right? We understand what accessibility is and we know how to fix accessibility. It just takes a lot of time. So we still have that core information and that core understanding, but now we have a tool similar to a AI, accessibility checker, right? Similar to Pope Tech, right? We have another tool in our arsenal to just make it more efficient, but we're not replacing critical thinking in any way. It's still your voice, right? It's still you and reflect, and you should still have your voice and it still should be you in that course. I don't recommend using AI to grade. I personally don't believe in that. Uh, I do like AI for individualized feedback. So for instance, like if a student is really struggling on one specific thing, I'll ask AI, can you give me some resources, additional resources I can provide the student to kind of fill in the gaps individually to create a better, more individualized feedback for that student. But I would not like say, hey, go have at it, grade, right? Like that's me. I got to see it, right? Grading and work is just way too nuanced, and I would never have AI do that. But for accessibility coding, listen, we're not that's not our we didn't go to we didn't go to HTML school. We're not engineers here, but it's still our content. It's still our voice. We're still the content expert. It's not replacing any critical thinking on our part.
Thanks, Sally.
Yeah, thank you. Great
All right.
question.
Yeah, that was a great question. Good conversation. Okay, so I am gonna go ahead and thank Ellie for being here. I see a lot of positive remarks in the chat. And before I move on to our next topic, I just want to be really clear that CVC is not saying you must use AI when reviewing your course or when designing your course. This is just another resource that we wanted to present to you. And we definitely have Pope Tech, everybody has that available in their CCC Canvas instance. So we, are still, definitely recommending that you use those checkers that are available to us. But we just wanted to present this as another resource. And we completely understand if, this is not the direction that, you or your college wants to go in. That's perfectly fine. Again, just a resource because, we do hear you with accessibility and the barriers that this poses in getting courses aligned. So I just want to make that really, really clear that, our position is not like use this and, this is the solution and the only solution. There are other solutions. Of course, our system does have a lot of trainings on accessibility and how to make documents accessible. So again, just a resource for everyone. And thank you once again, Ellie. And
Yeah.
thank you everyone for participating in the chat. I know Maria Elena has gathered most of the resources that you all shared, and we will share those out with POCR leads because I don't think I'll be able to share it out to everyone that's in attendance in the meeting, but I'll figure it out.
One more thing I want to
Yes.
add, and I think I've spoken to Garrick about this. It's still really critical that we understand and have a core foundation in accessibility because you still need to do a manual check, right? You never want to trust AI, right? You always got to check the AI, so you have to know what you're looking for. And of course, we're still looking at usability. We as humans can only look at usability from a human perspective. So you got to have an understanding of it and a knowledge of it. And this is just a tool, another resource. Thank
Good.
you.
Great point. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your expertise with us. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the next part of our norming session. Give me 1 second so I can share my screen. Okay, so we are going to talk about our rubric revision work that we've been doing with our revision work group. And this is what we're calling our listening session. And you all are the first to hear this listening session, and then our plan is to take it on the road. So you'll learn more about that as I go through the presentation. So I'll go ahead and lead, and Garrick and Maria Elena, please feel free to jump in as I talk about this. Okay, so first a little bit of background. So if you guys haven't heard, we are working on a major rubric revision. And the reason we're doing that is because it is so needed. The last revision was done in 2020. So that was 5 years ago, and there are different elements, different things that have changed across our system that our rubric just needs updating on. We did get direction from the chancellor's office to have this work group, build this work group and do the work towards revising the rubric. And as I said, we do want to make sure that the rubric does reflect what is occurring in the online world that is ever changing, as we all know. So this is the makeup of our work group. I wanted to just, I'm not sharing names, not that those are secret, but I think it's important for everyone to just see the different types of involvement in the group. So we have representation all across the state. Really, we have these positions being filled by people across all of our different colleges, but also the roles that they play. And meeting with this work group has made me, and I think everyone, recognize the important information that each one of these people share. We've had extensive conversations with the student services VP that we never even thought of. So having that insight with all of these different people has been so helpful to make sure that we're covering all of our bases. And I also want to share that we have people that have a variety of experience with reviews and with the CVC. So it's been a really fantastic group to work with. And again, I can't emphasize enough how nice it's been to have all of these people in the same room talking about course design and what's our baseline of aligned. Okay, so the progress that we've been making in our work group, we've actually been working really well and making, I think, really good progress. We have been meeting every 2 weeks for 2 hours. We started meeting in January. So we've been working at it for a few months now. We've had a lot of discussion about all of the different areas, but a lot of discussion on the AI and how we're going to integrate that into the rubric, because that is one of the components that we're looking at. And then we've also done a lot of evaluating about what the goals are of the rubric and how we're going to add these pieces without not making this longer, and just because we need to add it, let's put it here. We've been having a lot of really meaningful conversation of how to handle what we're going to add to the rubric. So this has these are our deliverables. So of course, to revise the rubric, but specifically what we've been tasked to do is to revise the rubric with AI, RSI, privacy, security, and equity. So those are the four main components that we have been tasked with. And a lot of the discussion has been around those 4 components and how we are going to add those into the rubric with either new language or using language that we currently have and just reshaping the way that the language is currently. Um, uh, then another thing that we're going to do, starting with you all, because you guys are a really important group to get this information, is that we are going to have listening sessions. We will have a survey for you to fill out at the end, a different survey. Sorry, I'm really gonna give you a lot of forms in just a little bit to fill out. So we do want your feedback on what you're going to learn about the rubric today, and any concerns that you'll be able to share them with us. But we are going to go around to different groups and give this same type of presentation. It may change a little bit depending on the group, but you guys are the first ones to get the information. So your feedback is going to be really important. And then the final report is going to be outlining the revisions, the rationale behind it, and then how are we going to implement this. So we are going to ask for recommendations on how to move forward, but we do have a plan. And then in the fall, we're planning to do some field testing with the small cohort, and I'll give you more information on that in just a few slides. So we've gotten that kind of laid out of how that field testing is going to look in the fall.
Coach, when would you like me to drop links in?
Not yet. I'll let you know.
Not yet. Okay, I'm on hold.
I also want to add that one of our big drivers with the equity language has been using the Peralta rubric. We've been really leaning on the Peralta rubric to help us navigate how we add that equity language into our rubric. Okay, so besides those 4 major areas of changes that we've been tasked to do to add to the rubric, these are some of the other things that the work group has been working on. And some of these, I will say, they came from you guys. So at our last norming session, if you attended, we had a little breakout group for you guys to work on things that you would like to see revised in the rubric. And we had this ongoing Google Doc that you guys were able to drop ideas into. We did go back to that Google Doc, brought it to the work group, and a lot of the things that you guys were concerned with were aligned with the things that we were concerned with. And then there was some new things that we hadn't thought of. So I do want to say that we did take your feedback. We took it back to the work group, and we are, making some changes based on the feedback that we're receiving from this group. So some of the other changes that we're making, accessibility, we are looking at addressing it in a different way, and we're looking at something that we're calling pre-POCR, where we look at accessibility before the review occurs. So we're still working on finalizing that language, but it looks like that's the direction that we're going to go with accessibility. As Ali presented, with accessibility, we all know that it's either you're aligned or you're not aligned. And we're trying to figure out how do we deliver that message, and how do we make sure that our faculty understand this, especially with the laws changing. I think the way the rubric was being seen in the past, it was like, oh, accessibility, this rubric, it's really demanding. Like, they want us to make all of these things accessible. But now with the changes in the law, it's out of our hands. Now anything that is, web-based, any digital content is going to have to be accessible. So we're taking that information into account as we look at accessibility through a different lens. Still have it on the rubric, but it's going to look different. Just the wording of it and the way that it's going to be approached is going to be different. But the bottom line, it has to be accessible. That's the bottom line. The RSI piece, the pieces that we've been talking about, we're actually embedding it across existing elements. So I'm really happy to tell you guys that our rubric is not getting longer. It's actually, yes, it's actually getting shorter. So right now what we have combined some of the sections, but with RSI, we've truly embedded that in sections that we already have currently. The streamlined rubric structure. So actually, we just met yesterday with the team, and with the streamlined rubric structure, it has to do with shortening and just combining things in the rubric, but not losing any of those critical elements. We did have a really big conversation about the performance levels in the rubric. So currently we have incomplete, aligned, and exemplary. We're shifting towards using the language that you see on this slide: not aligned, partially aligned, aligned, and exceptional. So we added the partially aligned because a lot of us feel, and as reviewers, I think you will agree with me, it's like, oh, I don't want to mark them incomplete because they've done such a good job. Like they're almost there. And marking it incomplete is like, you get that rubric back and it's like so many of them are incomplete. So we felt it was important to be like, you know what, you're almost there. You're all like you're so close, you just missed, these 2 or 3 areas. So we can mark that partially aligned. And then we also change exemplary to exceptional, just because the language of exemplary, we talked about how exemplary is used as like, this is an example that everyone should follow. And that's not necessarily the case. With what I think what we've meant by exemplary is you went above and beyond aligned. Like this is more than aligned. So we decided to go with exceptional. So that is the direction that we're going with right now. I wanted to give you that update. We've also made some changes. Now we're looking and we're refining language, and we're trying to make the language that's in the rubric focus on the student experience. So what we mean by that, and we are going to show you some samples of the language today. So what we mean by this is that the rubric language is almost going to tell us, the reviewer and the reviewee, the why behind, you're doing this because of this, because for the student it means this. So there's a little shift in the language in the rubric that we're making. And then lastly, we all know that we have the current rubric is in that PDF format. A lot of us have taken that PDF format and put it into either a Google Doc, a Word doc, an Excel spreadsheet, because that PDF is not the easiest to work with. I've gotten a lot of complaints from my own reviewers saying like, I saved it and now I can't make any updates. Like, what do I do? Just PDFs, are PDFs. So what we're looking at is creating some sort of web-based rubric. We don't know what that's going to look like yet, but something that's going to be easier to use. We even talked about having like little drop downs to mark if it's not aligned, partially aligned, aligned, or exceptional. And then of course, having a place for the feedback that is needed. So those are the changes. And I didn't add this one here, but I will add that we also decided that in the rubric, we have the incomplete, the aligned, and the exemplary. So what we've done is we've decided to remove the language completely from incomplete. So now we're only going to have language for aligned and what we call exceptional. So the reason we decided to go that route is because if you're not aligned, you're not aligned. Like it doesn't matter what the language says. You're not aligned or you're partially aligned. So we felt that focusing on aligned language, like this is the baseline, this is where you should be, that's of the most importance. And then of course the exceptional, because we know that we have instructors that like to go above and beyond, and they want to see what that looks like. So we're keeping that exceptional language. Okay, so now I have some samples for you guys. So this is one of the samples of what we're doing to revise the language. This is what we're calling A2 module objectives. Yes, Marilena.
We should, it's not just, this is an example of a lot of different things. It's an example of streamlining. It's an example of the language shift. So you might want to share the streamlining element of that as well.
Definitely. So as you can see, this one focuses on objectives. In our current rubric, objectives is A1, A2, and A3. So what we've done is we've basically combined all of those into this A2. So this one is saying there's learning objectives, they're consistently placed, they're measurable, and they match the course level. They match the outcomes match the course level objectives. So we've done a lot of things and we've put those together. Now, we're not losing any of the requirements that we have in our current rubric. They're still there, but you're going to see a lot of this where we've combined things. And we will make sure to emphasize what exactly are we looking for. But if you look at this element, it does show all of those pieces from A1, A2, and then A3. Marilena, do you want to add anything else to that?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. And the way it's going to look, as I mentioned, you're going to have the aligned language and then the exceptional language. We are no longer going to have the incomplete language included in the rubric. And then one more sample here. This one is what we're calling B2, instructor initiated interaction. So in this one, I wanted to bring this one up because this has the RSI language. And then in the exceptional wording, this is an example of some of the equity language that we've added. The equity language is not always in the exceptional category. In some places, the equity language is in the aligned category, but you will see that at times it is in the exceptional because some of that equity language, we did feel like it's important to have a student-centered, course of, and it's important that it's equitable and that we have those pieces. But there were times where we're like, this is really going above and beyond your kind of basic baseline course design. So that's an example of what we're doing. I'll continue to go on, and then if there's any questions, I'll let you guys ask questions.
Sochi, there have been a couple comments in the chat
Yes.
regarding just some input, which is excellent. Shortly, Maria Elena's going to share a survey where you'll be able to provide feedback. And our goal is over the next 6 months, we'll be doing these similar listening sessions to all of our statewide stakeholder groups and sharing that survey to collect this feedback. And then for fall semester, it really will be a pilot of how this is all going. And so expect changes throughout fall semester. And so the feedback in the chat is excellent, but we want to be able to curate it in one spot. So just note that that survey is going to come soon from Maria Elena in the chat after Sochi presents a few more slides, and then we'll collect as much information as possible moving forward.
Thank you. Okay, so we're also we haven't started working on this yet because we're still revising the rubric, but as we're revising the rubric, we've been having a lot of conversation about resources. What type of resources do we need, and this is going beyond the rubric has been finalized, it's been piloted, now it's being adopted, and there's going to be some training there, but this is going beyond that training. So we've talked about creating a rubric resource guide. Currently, we have that Canvas course, the course design, the one that we use that kind of outlines each area of the rubric. So that's something similar. The rubric resource guide will be something similar. But then we also thought of, you know what, for faculty authors, for our faculty that are designing courses, we felt it was important to create some sort of POCR prep course. So our vision is to create a prep course that you guys can adopt and use at your colleges. Because one of the conversations that we've had is, I think what we've tried to do is we've tried to use the rubric as a teaching tool when the rubric is really the tool that we use to assess if all of the areas have been met. So that's why we've been talking a lot about this POCR prep course, and that's the goal is for us to create that and share it with you all. And of course, there has to be some sort of revised POCR training. The POCR course will be revised for anybody that hasn't been trained. It will be revised to reflect the new rubric, but there will probably be some sort of POCR training for those of us that are already reviewers. And we don't know what that looks like, but I am imagining it'll be a self-paced course, kind of like what we did with Section D, if some of you guys remember when we added Section D. But that's still, those are just conversations. We haven't started with those yet. Of course, we're going to be updating our POCR website with not only the rubric information, but hopefully with some resources that you guys can use and turn to. And then these norming sessions, we also need to look at if they need to be reframed to meet the needs of, this new rubric and what that will look like. I think these sessions are really important, if not for norming, to connect, share ideas, concerns, all of those things that we deal with as POCR leads. And
So
then,
there's a question.
yes.
Jennifer has a question.
Oh, yes.
It's in the chat.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Our existing review teams are required to be retrained. Jennifer, so that's one of the pieces that I have here on this one, the revised POCR training. I think we don't have the logistics of that yet, but there will be some required updated training that we will be offering. But I don't have any of the details just yet. Like a refresher, like Eric is saying. I think that's what Eric may be referring to, that comment or a different comment. I just thought the word refresher is a great word to use for this.
So and I do want to highlight one more comment that Sue put in the chat, possibly building it as a Canvas course for the rubric. So that's something we can maybe look into instead of a Google Doc, being that we all use Canvas. The group could think about that a little bit more in detail, but I just wanted to highlight that so we don't forget that.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. Anything else on the chat that I should focus on before I go on?
Yeah, Kathleen asked about instructors needing to be recertified, but that really is a local decision for for courses that have already been aligned with the previous badge. Would you all agree, Garrett?
Yeah, and then Kathleen is asking also if we recommend pausing any alignment until it's ready for the fall. I wouldn't recommend that because even with the changes that we're making, I truly feel that especially if we align a course this semester, this summer or this fall, and then let's say that the rubric is like in the spring, we're like, okay, here you go, new rubric, start adopting it. We're not going to be that far off from alignment. It's not like we definitely are adding components, but as I said, the meat of it is what we already have. We're not saying like, oh, you no longer need to have a welcome email. Like, I'm picking on something, really simple, but like we're not throwing away any of the pieces really. I think we did delete, I can't even remember what we did deleted, but I know we've deleted some, but they're like super small, minimal pieces that if they're in the course, the course is better for it. So I don't recommend pausing. I suggest you just continue. And then when this new rubric is released, we will have information for you. We plan on doing a crosswalk. We plan on supporting you guys, through this new rubric update.
Sochi, the only other thing I would add to that is that, and I forget if you mentioned it already because we've had so many of these conversations around poker, but really we're trying to think of a crosswalk, and Maria Elena is going to share a survey on that as well. And so I think Sochi is about to talk about it, but I want to answer it in real time for Kathleen. In that we're trying to come up with a crosswalk where basically if you currently have a poker aligned course, we want to figure out a method to the madness where it would maybe take hour and a half up to 5 hours to realign your course to the new rubric because we're really cognizant of we don't want people to have to go through a 20-hour poker process once again for someone who's already been aligned since 2018. So is there a crosswalk that we could do that maybe takes an hour to adjust a couple items so now you align to the new rubric? For example, some things like RSI or AI. For AI, it might be as simple as just insert your college's AI policy. Done. Copy and paste. 5 minutes later, you're realigned to the new rubric. And so those are the things we're trying to look for. And so we'll continue those conversations, but we'll be sharing more information on that, along with doing a test group to see what that looks like. So if I'm to realign my current course, what does that look like? How much time did that take? And that's all part of the pilot project in the fall, is to figure that out, because the last thing we want to do is make everyone go through being aligned to your course again, starting from scratch, basically. That is not the intent of this at all. And so we're trying to find the easiest method to realign courses to some of those things. So it might be a 10 checklist questionnaire that, hey, if you do these 10 items, you're realigned to the new one from the old one. So that's what we're trying to adopt through this process as well.
Thanks. Marilena, can you drop the survey for the listening session one, the listening session survey? That way, not there will be less confusion. So this is the feedback form. Thank you, Marilena. This is the feedback form that you guys can fill out, and then please give us any feedback on the rubric revision. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. We are, like, as I mentioned, we are going to continue to have listening sessions. You guys are the first ones to get this, and I know it's very short because of the amount of time that we have, but we're going to go ahead and present at OTC. We'll go to DECO, ASCCC, and others. We'll be presenting this information to them starting this summer and continuing on into the fall. And then the last thing that I want to share with you guys about the rubric revision is how we're going to handle the pilot. So what we're going to do for the pilot, we are looking for poker leads that want to pilot the revised rubric in fall 2025. I want to make sure nobody is confused. Originally, in case you're thinking of past information I've given you, we were thinking of getting colleges to pilot the rubric. Now that we're here and we've been doing a lot of work, we have decided that instead of having colleges pilot, we want poker leads to pilot. And I'll even say poker leads / reviewers. If you're a seasoned reviewer, you're welcome to fill out the form that Marilena will drop in just a bit. So we're looking for leads, reviewers to pilot the rubric. We want approximately about 20 leads that will review one course using the new rubric. And then we're doing like a pilot within the pilot. We're hoping to find 10 other leads to review an already badged course, because this is going to help us connect the two, connect where we are with badge courses currently. And when we use that new rubric, what is missing? That's really going to help us, connect the two. So if you are interested, I'll have Marilena drop that interest form to be part of the pilot. We are asking for a commitment of course, reviewing one course and then being available for a couple of meetings. I want to do like an initial meeting to kind of tell everyone what we're doing, give an explanation, maybe even highlight areas in the rubric, and then have a debrief meeting. I think one or maybe two debrief meetings, because you guys are really going to be crucial in seeing if we need to revise any of the language, see what we're missing, and also really help us with those resources, which we really want to make quite robust for you guys to have. Heather, I don't think we have any stipends for that. At least we haven't talked about any stipends. So if you do want to be part of the pilot, it's probably going to be completely voluntary. Because yeah, I don't think we have any stipends for that work, unfortunately. Yeah. Any questions? I know it's 12:01 and we are over time. Please save those forms, the interest form, and please fill out that listening session feedback form. And that's all I have for the rubric revision, just some reminders. And you can always email me about anything else that has to do with poker. I won't go into plug and play. I've already talked about this before. Don't forget the session is recorded and you can share the recording or watch it again. Poker leads, you have been emailed summer poker registration links. If you don't have those, email me, as well as information about updating courses with the new CCN titles. Any courses that are badged and you need an update on a CCN title, I have emailed all the poker leads with that information, but if you missed that email, it got lost in the shuffle or went to your spam, which happens, just shoot me an email. And there is my email as well as Marielena's. I'm sorry for rushing towards the end, but I want to be mindful of everyone's time. I'll stick around for a few more minutes if you have questions, but I am going to go ahead and stop the recording.